Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Shabbat. We are up to Perek Bet Mishnah Hey. Today's Mishnah should be Le'elu Nishmat Neria ben Tzvedlana Aranbayev and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov Minuchatam Began Eden. Amen. The subject of today's Mishnah is going to be regarding Melacha She'ena Tziricha Legufa, Melacha that is not needed for its defined purpose, which refers to a Melacha that does not serve a positive purpose, but is done only to prevent something negative. And the Mefarshim give us an example. A person transfers an item from one domain to another, which is the melacha of transferring, but not because he wants it in the second domain, but because he wants to remove it from the first one. Now, the law for such melacha is a matter of dispute between Tanaim. In chapter 10, Mishnah 5, it's going to cite the case of a person who carries a corpse from his house into a Reshut HaRabim, a public domain, where his intent is only to be rid of the corpse. Rabbi Shimon rules that he is exempt from liability because it's a melacha she'ena tziricha legufa. It's a melacha that is not needed for its defined purpose, while Rabbi Yehuda holds that he is liable. So our Mishnah is going to record a similar dispute. Now, the dispute concerns only biblical law. All agree that such a melacha is rabbinically forbidden, as the Gemara says on page 105b of Masechet Shabbat. So the Mishnah begins, Amchabe et haner mipnei shum mitireh mipnei goyim. One who extinguishes a lamp because he fears an attack on his life from idol worshippers who do not permit lighting lamps on their festivals. And the Mefarshim explained, the Rav gives a background. Some Persian religious sects in Talmudic times prohibited lighting lamps on their festivals in any place except their houses of worship. They worshipped fire and therefore strictly controlled its use, as the Tzvot Yisrael writes. So the Mishnah is speaking of a person who extinguishes a lamp so that the followers of this religion will not attack him. Or mipnei listim, because he fears that bandits may attack him if they see him. Mipnei ruach ra, or because he wants to save the life of someone suffering from mental anguish, which the Rav explains. The patient suffers from a severe, life-threatening condition that causes him extreme anguish unless he sits in the dark. Vim bishvil hachole sheishan, or so that a dangerously ill person may fall asleep. Patur, he is exempt in all these four cases. Now, in each of these situations, the only way you can prevent the danger is by extinguishing the light, which the Rambam writes in his commentary to explain. Therefore, everyone agrees that extinguishing is permitted, since saving a life overrides almost all biblical prohibitions, including the laws of Shabbat, as the Gemara says in Masechet Yoma, page 84b. Now, although the Mishnah uses the word patur, exempt, which we know in regards to Masechet Shabbat usually means exempt from biblical liability, but rabbinically forbidden, that's not its meaning here. Where here the act is permitted and even obligatory, because here in each case is to save someone's life. It's a life-threatening situation. However, if a person extinguishes a flame to save the lamp from cracking due to the heat, or to save the oil, or to save the wick, chayav, he is liable. Because according to this Tana, the Torah prohibits melacha that is not needed for its defined purpose. According to this Tana, the Torah prohibits melacha she'ena tziricha legufa. So for this reason, he rules that the person is liable in the last three cases of saving the lamp, oil, or wick, even though the act of extinguishing was done only to prevent a loss. He deems the person exempt in the first four cases, saving someone from idol worshippers, bandits, mental anguish, and illness, only because those acts of extinguishing are necessary to save life, and saving life overrides the laws of Shabbat. Now, the next Tana disagrees about melacha she'ena tziricha legufa, a melacha that's not needed for its defined purpose. Rabbi Yossi poter bechulan. Rabbi Yossi exempts the person who extinguished the lamp in all of the preceding cases. Chutz mina pitila mipnei shu osah pecham. The melacha of extinguishing is not biblically forbidden except where one extinguishes a wick because he intends to make charcoal, meaning one lights a wick and then extinguishes it to turn the tip of the wick into charcoal. This makes the wick easier to light in the future. So if this was the extinguisher's intent, he is liable. This is not the same as the case of the wick mentioned by the previous Tana. There, the person's intent was not to make charcoal, but to prevent the wick from being used up. In that case, Rabbi Yossi would rule that he is exempt. This is how the Tosefet Rabbi Akiva Eger explains the Rav's commentary. Now, according to Rabbi Yossi, The Torah permits melacha shena tzricha legufa, and so he rules that one is not liable for extinguishing a flame to save the lamp, wick, or oil, and certainly to save a person's life, since the purpose is only the negative one of preventing loss. In his view, one is liable for performing the melacha of extinguishing only if one has the positive purpose of creating charcoal. And the Rab tells us, Ven elakha ki Rabbi Yossi, the halakha does not follow Rabbi Yossi. We continue now with Mishnah Vav. Al shalosh averot nashim metot bishat ledatan. On account of 3 transgressions, women may die, God forbid, in childbirth. Now, during childbirth, the Mefarshim explain, a woman is in danger and needs divine mercy to survive. At that time, the Beit Din Shel Mala, the heavenly court, examines her deeds to see whether she is deserving of such mercy. If she is found unworthy, the special protection that she requires might be withheld. Therefore, it's during childbirth that a woman is more likely to be held accountable for her transgressions. And in fact, an examination of this nature takes place whenever a person is in danger, as the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat, page 32a. The Mishnah mentions giving birth because it's a danger that most women face in the natural course of their lives. Now the Mishnah continues, Al she'enan zirot benida uvachala uvadakat haner. Because they are not careful in observing the laws of nidah, chala, and lighting the Shabbat lamp. So if we read the Mishnah, Al shalosh avirot nashim mitot b'shad ledatan, on account of 3 transgressions, women may, God forbid, die in childbirth, because they are not careful in observing the laws of nidah, chala, and lighting the Shabbat lamp. So just to explain, we all know what nidah is. The Torah forbids intimacy with a nidah, a menstruant, until she waits a certain number of days and then immerses in a mikvah. The Torah speaks about it in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 15, psukim 19 to 24, psukim 18 and 19, and Shulchan Aruch in Chelek Yorodea speaks about it from Siman 183 to Siman 200. Chala, we know, one who makes a dough is biblically obligated to give part of it to a kohen. This portion is called chala in Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 15, psukim 17 through 21. In Shulchan Aruch Yorodea, Simanim 322 to 330, uvadakat haner, and lighting the Shabbat lamp. Since, and the Rav concludes the Mishnah by explaining, since it's women who become nidot, they are entrusted with observing the laws of nidah. The mitzvot of chala and the Shabbat lamp are assigned to women because they usually attend to the relevant household tasks, namely baking bread and lighting lamps. And that's why these 3 are attributed to the women of the household. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.